A sad day in the free world, but here we go.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, live from Pittsburgh Studio number 1, it's Cold War Radio. Here's your host, Hutch Bailey Jr.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Midweek, welcome and thank you for choosing Cold War Radio from the Alpha Foxtrot Studio in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the CWR Patron Hotline, 412-206-6208, the voicemail for podcast listeners, 412-567-1460. Please visit steelcityresistance.com, where you can become a Cold War Radio patron, join the team that keeps the train on the tracks. You can also catch the research room, the video 2 page. If you'd like to write to the show, please write to SCRTV at live.com. That's SCRTV at live.com, or write to Cold War Radio, P.O. Box 10433 370, Castle Shannon Boulevard, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 15234. All right, well, a sad day, as I alluded to. Let me welcome inside the Alpha Foxtrot Studios, right directly across from me, in the top-notch studio of Cold War Radio Productions. Sal, good evening. Welcome to the program, sir.
Hey, thank you, Hutch. Great to be here and welcome everyone. We're going to have a interesting show tonight. Of course, bad news about Rush, and I'll let you go right into it, Hutch.
Let me ask you something, because most people have never seen this studio. Do you remember, and were you ever here when we had like 7 or 8 people on the show?
Negative.
I mean, we used to have 4 microphones set up, and I had a 5th. Well, anyway, there's 2 of us now, and there's too much equipment for anybody else.
Yeah, there's plenty of room here, and guess what? There's no water here. I didn't have to bring my hip waders.
No,
it's all good.
I had that straightened out, but I did tell you about the different legacy signs for Bird's Eye View and Steel City Resistance, and we dressed the place up a little bit.
It's looking good.
Well, thank you. All right, let me get some inside baseball stuff taken care of. First of all, don't think she's listening, but just in case she does or is, I want to thank Stacy for the delicious fillet magnons that I had tonight, some filet mignon wrapped in bacon that we broiled in the broil. I got to try your method in the oven, too. But
well, I had 2 of them tonight myself.
Did you? 2 of them?
Absolutely.
Oh,
yes, sir.
Getting that protein on. But they were pretty good. I mean, all I did was, a little olive oil, salt, and pepper, and I threw a little bit of this. We have this jar of, like, the best steak seasoning ever made or something, and I tried a little bit, but I didn't really taste it.
Oh, sometimes you just got to experiment, but with the old-fashioned salt and pepper is probably the best way to go.
I mean, that was my dad. My dad, if he saw you taking some kind of steak sauce to the meat, he'd slap it out of your hand. I mean, that used to offend him, man.
Yeah, because it takes the flavor away.
It does,
yeah,
too.
it takes the flavor away.
It takes you a while to realize that. But anyway, thank you, Stacy. That was a Christmas gift from her, or a get-well gift. I can't remember one of them, but they were delicious. My wife and I thank you very much. Also, Valerie, I want to thank you for sending me a book about the situation, and I'm going to wait until I go too deep into this for the next time you call, because I don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about here, but it was a situation with her ex-husband that went really amok with the federal authorities, and I cannot wait to get into that, but I'll wait and for any details after I get permission after 9 o'clock if she happens to call. Valerie, if you happen to call in tonight, I'd appreciate that. But no sweat if you don't. But thank you very much at any rate. All right, the last couple things here. Go to steelcityresistance.com, help rescue children from slavery with the Children's Rescue Initiative, CRI. There is a GoFundMe from my brother-in-law, Terrence Lawson. He's trying to get certified so he can, in fact, go on the missions to support or to rescue children that are being taken in human trafficking rings and things of that nature. So we look forward to some more. There was already some members, some audience members that donated. If you can't, that's fine. That's not what this show's all about. But if you can, get over there to that GoFundMe at SteelCityResistance.com. And let's get him certified. I guarantee it'll pay dividends to some little kids and their families. The last thing I want to talk about before we get into the show, Spreaker sent me an email. They're writing to let me know that in 30 days, first of all, Spreaker already, or I should say Apple, already discontinued the Cold War Radio app and any other apps from Spreaker. You can still use them. They're not going to expire if you have it already, but you can't get it anymore. Now with the Android, it's going away in 30 days. Spreaker will stop selling custom mobile apps, both iOS and Android, and they won't be available anymore for purchase on the store after the 31st. Now, like I said, you're already out if you have an iPhone, but if you want the app, it's free. Get it in the App Store, not the App Store. Get it in, it is in the App Store, the Google Play Store, but you can get it right from the Spreaker site. It's right there, the embedded code to get there. So for me, payments are over. That's no longer going to be. You notice how they do this in February after I just paid $200 in January. I mean,
of course they did.
And then they dropped this on you. I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, so there's that. No new apps can be purchased after the 31st of March. And Spreaker will support apps until the 30th of April. After that, there won't be any more updates released. This is the last chance to buy an app, blah, blah. Why would you buy something that they're not going to support anymore? But, they got me all into that. And, we all went out and designed all these things. And then I don't know about these tech companies, man. They get under your skin sometimes.
Well, they have a racket, and they know they know the ins and outs, and they know how to get you. And they probably knew the numbers, and when people were renewing, and they had it all down. They were ready to strike.
Yeah, and they're not getting any more people purchasing apps, so they probably said, "Well, this is all petered out. We'll just cancel this." After we stop counting your YouTube listens, by the way, so I can't even really tell how many people listen to the show anymore. But anyway, there's that. I have a recurring idea I wanted to share. You're going to hear us tonight play several clips of Joe Biden. I don't like doing that, but ladies and gentlemen, there's something that we have to keep in our mind and our psyche for as long as we live. And that is how bad and how criminally and how out in the open we were screwed during this election. I want you to hear every stutter, every dementia slur and slobber coming out of the corner of Joe Biden's mouth. Never forget, ladies and gentlemen, never let it get to the point where it wasn't that bad. You got to think of what happened to us with the FBI and the IRS all the way back to the Tea Party. They've been screwing us officially from the halls of government in Washington, D.C. for a long time.
Yeah, you're right. We can't forget, because 2022 it's on the doorstep already. It's going to be here, and we got to, keeping this alive is a good thing, and being aware is another thing. We have to keep our eyes on this.
That's right.
And we have to understand what exactly we're up against.
I agree 100%. And another thing, right side by side with that, is America, damn it, stop asking permission from the government to do everything. Don't worry about the government. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear it. Now, there's some places that's going to get you in trouble, so you have to use your head. But more and more, I'm going into places, Sal. Anyway, I'm going into places and I'm seeing people with no masks. It's starting to be. People have had enough. They know it's not. There has to be common sense attached with sacrifice.
There is, and you've just got to make your choices of what you want to do and what's important to you. And there's risk in no matter what you want to do in here on this life in this earth, and it should be up to us. It shouldn't be in the government's hands.
Safety is the enemy of liberty. Don't worry about safety. You go through your whole life worrying about safety. Why don't you just go to the penitentiary? You won't have to worry about anything as long as you get in protective custody. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we know that we lost a legend today. And this man, this legend, was more important than any general still alive in the United States military. More important than any politician, with the possible exception of Donald J. Trump, in the country that's alive today. Ladies and gentlemen, Rush Limbaugh changed my life, changed a lot of people's lives. Let's take a couple minutes and give him the honor, the respect, and the reverence that he won't get from the government, but that he damn sure deserves. Not that many people get that from this show, but Rush, by God, you do. Conservative radio legend Rush Limbaugh died Wednesday morning at the age of 70. Following a battle with advanced lung cancer, his wife Catherine Limbaugh announced at the beginning of this Wednesday's radio program. It is with profound sadness I must share with you directly that our beloved Rush, my wonderful husband, passed away this morning due to complications from lung cancer, Catherine announced. Rush will forever be the greatest of all time, she added. Limbaugh, host of the Rush Limbaugh Show for 32 years, had been battling stage 4 lung cancer since January 2020. Just days after announcing his diagnosis, Limbaugh was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Donald Trump during the State of the Union on February 4th, 2020. Rush Limbaugh, thank you for your decades of tireless devotion to our country, Trump told the radio host during the address. And Mark Stein summed it up brilliantly at the end of an article that he wrote with the words, "Talent returned to God." When I read those words at the end of Mark Stein's obituary, I guess you would call it, I started crying, man. When I heard those, when I read those words, the emotion just got me. I wasn't expecting to do that for Rush Limbaugh, for a radio host, but when I heard him say that, it just it was entitled "The Indispensable Man," and Mark Stein basically gave Rush the honor of saying that he was the person, the force, that kept conservatives from being marginalized for the past 32 years. Because, Sal, if you remember, and you look back at the absolute morons that we've had on our side, on the Republican side for those 32 years, if it wasn't for Rush, we'd have got crushed.
And the other
All right,
thing,
why isn't your mic on?
I'm not too sure.
You mute something before you left?
No, sir.
No, I did it. There you go.
Yes, and we can also credit Rush for really bringing back exactly where you and I are sitting right now.
Indeed, yeah.
And he was a really big voice for radio and talk radio, and we really lost someone who's a legend, and he will be missed.
I don't think I would have started doing this if it wasn't for him, because it was dying. If you remember, what were our choices before Rush? Larry King Live, Jim Bohannon. I mean, it was bad, man. It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, what were the choices? We'd have to really go back and take a look. I'm not going to take the time to do
Right.
that now, but
He also saved AM radio
he did.
single-handedly. I mean, it was on the way out, and he saved it. And when you look at AM radio is really big in rural areas because a church or a community can put together a station that can, doesn't have to transmit 50,000 watts like the stations Rush started out on, but they can transmit 1,000, 5,000 watts, and the local community can hear.
Yeah, it's a big thing in the center of these rural towns. Yes, it's a huge thing, and credit Rush for bringing a lot of that back across the country.
No doubt about it. Now I want to have a little fun here. Rush Limbaugh started his career in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you know that, Sal, but he spun records for 14KQV, the station that we grew up listening to rock and roll, and what was called rock and roll, I guess, back then. But he went by the name of Jeff Christie. Let's listen. Rush Limbaugh, 1974.
14K, Terry Jacks, and Seasons in the Sun. Jeff Christie in Pittsburgh, serving humanity at 9:48.
Honey, get your body.
Production. Also appearing with Shana Na and opening the show will be Billy Cook's Rainbows and Gypsies. See the exciting Day of the Dolphin, rated PG, now showing at the Ardmore Drive-In, Bellevue, Bethel Cinema, Camp Horn Drive-In, Carnegie Cinema, and Cinema World. Day of the Dolphin also showing at the Hampton Plaza, McKee Cinema, Oaks, Penn Hills, Regent, and Rockshire Theaters. See Day of the Dolphin now at the Sewickley, South Hills, South Park Drive-In, South Hills Drive-In, and Sunset View Drive-In. I certainly hope you people are writing all of this down. Don't miss a Day of the Dolphin. It is now showing at a theater or drive-in near you. 14K.
A diamond has locations.
14K.
Music Radio 14K. Hey, sweetheart, don't you worry about a thing. Stevie Wonder, come on.
Watch this out.
14K, don't you worry about a thing. Stevie the Boy Wonder. Real name is Steveland Morris. It's 2 words, Steveland Morris. There's a shock, and I found that out. Jeff Christie at 9:54.
14K.
Exorcist is now on its 16th record-breaking week at the Warner Theater downtown.
14K. It too.
Music Radio 14K, Sound of Philadelphia. TSOP by MFSB. His mother, father, sister, brother. And it's the last time, and I'm going to tell you people that, this song has been out now for 3 weeks, and you should know it by now. If you don't, that's just tough toenail.
14K.
9:58 at 14K. Rick Nelson, former All-American boy
Garden
turned
Party.
hippie, and a song, A Garden Party.
I went to a garden.
KQV, Pittsburgh.
I'm looking at
14 karat gold. 1973.
14K, Jeff Christie, Rock and Roll Radio Show, Friday night. Just minutes away from 14 more. Non-stop hits in a row. Right now, the Stylistics, Stone in Love View. 14K, the Stylistics from Philadelphia. Stone in Love with You. That's nice. Jeff Christie at 10:07, 69 degrees. Skies are cloudy. It's going to be mostly cloudy. A chance of some showers tonight. Low tonight 53. Variably cloudy and warm tomorrow night, and Easter Sunday morning. Afternoon high Saturday at 72.
President Nixon's California tax W is silent.
14K. It ain't.
Music Radio 14K with a great 14K giveaway. Thousands of prizes. Be listening Monday on 14K.
Wow, how's that for a blast from the past? President Nixon.
Well, you and I are sitting across from each other, and we're hearing him talk, and we're thinking about all these places that he's referencing, and some of them have been long gone. They're these
Warner Theater.
Yeah, they're long gone. A lot of these other places long gone, but he did know the area really well. He was a Pittsburgh guy.
He was. I mean, he was here, and the thing that gets me when I'm listening to that is, my God, I'll bet he was so bored having to go over trivial things like that every day, and he was good at it, But I remember that was what we listened to.
Well, that's what got him started, and that's what got him
That's
going,
right.
and it lit the fire.
And one of the things that he always said, and he was, I don't know if he was proud of it, but he used it to encourage other people. He's like, I got fired 25 times in my life. He got fired from every job he ever had. He was the promotions person for the Kansas City Royals, and then he was he was a disc jockey alongside Jim Quinn. If you remember him. Quinn
Yes,
Rose.
absolutely, and that's what it got him the experience, and it got him
Right.
where he was and is, and he cemented his status eventually.
Now the left has at least this time they've had a little bit of class. You like to see when they have class, when serious things happen and everything's not positive, or everything's not partisan. It started out with this moron Yashar Ali. He's some kind of a reporter, I guess, No, maybe he's not a jerk off. I don't know. He's got an elephant next to his name. I don't know if that's because I don't know why. You ever heard of the guy?
No, I haven't heard of him at all.
There was I saw something. Anyway, he tweets, Rush Limbaugh has died at 70. And then you look at the responses, and Z says, yay! Levy Boschnack has folded hands praying. Alicia Farkas, thoughts and prayers, ? Making fun of us whenever there's a tragedy with guns. Grilgamesh, getting the tour in hell as we speak. Goop or Coop, oh no Coop, finally. Lydia, not a day too soon. Seven Dicey, good riddance. Veronica, well, this will get me suspended, but my first words were, oh, thank God. No, you don't believe in God, Veronica, sorry. Billy Moe is the Billy Mostis says, I don't want to say anything bad about Rush since he's gone, only good. Rush is dead, good. This girl, hell just got fuller. Burp Reynolds, okay. Not. And on and on.
Well, let's just talk about these are the same people that were supposed to save the soul of the nation.
Oh, yeah, the Uniters.
The Uniters. We have to bring people together. These are people that are going to bring people together?
I know.
Hell no. These are the people that are going to continue to divide this country and make things divisive to the bitter end. And for Rush, it was to the bitter end. They hated the man.
It was. They still, I mean, he's dead.
Yeah,
and they can't stop, man. He's like Trump. He's living in their brains for nothing.
It's fantastic.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, at least CNN, had they had the way the wherewithal, and they had the decency to at least call out all of Rush's the different things that he accomplished, and he did accomplish a lot. So Brian Stelter did a pretty good job.
Major breaking news just into CNN. The conservative radio talk show icon, Rush Limbaugh, passed away today at age 70. That after a long battle with lung cancer. Rush's wife, Catherine, announced his death at the start of Limbaugh's radio show just a short time ago. Limbaugh was an original, beyond a doubt, whether you agreed or disagreed. He created an entire industry with his voice, his brash, and his often inflammatory opinions.
A pioneer of conservative media and a deeply polarizing figure, Rush Limbaugh became the most prominent political radio host in modern American history.
We make the complex understandable, and we do it in a way that makes you love your country, not hate it.
He started as a top 40 DJ.
A program exclusively designed for rich conservatives and right-minded Republicans.
But shifted to AM talk radio in the 80s. His namesake show was nationally syndicated in 1988, eventually expanding to more than 600 radio stations. Fans, known as Ditto Heads, cheered his brazen style, while critics blasted him for racist, sexist, and other offensive speech. He accused actor Michael J. Fox of exaggerating his Parkinson's symptoms.
He is moving all around and shaking, and it's purely an act.
Women must decide their fate.
And he insulted a college student who advocated for access to birth control.
It makes her a slut, right? Makes her a prostitute.
You want the government
After
to buy
sponsors
your
dropped his
birth control.
show, Limbaugh apologized for that one.
I again sincerely apologize to Ms. Fluke for using those two words to describe her.
In 2003, his stint as an NFL commentator on ESPN lasted only 4 weeks. He resigned in the face of public outcry after suggesting that Eagles quarterback Donovan McNabb was overrated because of his race.
The media has been very desirous that a black quarterback do well.
But Limbaugh's popularity survived all the controversies as well as his own personal struggles. In 2001, he suffered hearing loss from an autoimmune disease. 2 years later, he admitted a drug problem.
I am addicted to prescription pain medication.
Limbaugh was arrested for doctor shopping in 2006, but went to rehab and the charge was dropped. Through it all, he remained a hero to the right, defending Republicans from what he said was the biased liberal media. Radio executives praised his storytelling abilities and his broadcasting talent. Limbaugh was a GOP kingmaker and a close ally of President Trump,
Indeed.
with a direct line to the White House.
I
piss you off, don't it,
just
Stelter?
received clearance. The president has gotten word to me that he is either getting funding for the border or he's shutting the whole thing down.
In 2020, President Trump awarded Limbaugh the Medal of Freedom at the State of the Union.
In recognition of all that you have done for our nation, the millions of people a day that you speak to and that you inspire.
A day before, Limbaugh announced that he had been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer, and he spoke directly to his radio audience.
Over the years, a lot of people have been very nice, telling me how much this program has meant to them. But whatever that is, it pales in comparison to what you all have meant to me.
I'll tell you, Sal, listening to somebody like Stelter, the CNN Pillsbury Doughboy, a racist Democrat, as racist as any Democrat is, whether they know it or not, just by the people they support, they're being racist. And you remember what our moms used to tell us, people judge you by the company that you keep. And if you're keeping company with people like Brian Stelter is, then you're racist. I'm sorry. It's how it is.
Well, there's not a lot of people who watch Stelter anymore. I don't know if you looked at the ratings or not, but it's going lower by the day because his reliable sources are very unreliable.
No, they are. And you look at that, you listen to the things that he actually said. He said just about nothing good as far as monumental accomplishments. It was all petty stuff. It was stuff that was drummed up in the media. For instance, Michael J. Fox, who on that clip basically told everybody in America he was dying. And if you look at the video, and it's right there on the Video 2 page at SteelCityResistance.com, go back and you'll see Michael J. Fox, who, by the way, is very much alive today, telling us he was dying back then, and you should have seen him jumping around on that chair. It's not the way he looked at any time after that.
You know what? Rush is a human being just like each one of us. He sees it and tells it how he saw it.
I emulate that.
And his opinion, whether you want to agree with it or not, that's up to you, but he put it out there.
And that's the way I want this show to be. It's something that I'm not going to sit here and, I better not say that, or I don't care. It doesn't matter. Don't listen. If I offend you, which I don't think anybody in this audience is offended by what I say, I don't mean to offend anybody. I mean to come out with common sense. We've lost common sense. When a woman, a young woman, a college student, as she was illustrated by Stelter, comes in front of Congress and compels Congress to provide her with free birth control. I mean, the government, you're asking the federal government, you're asking other people, you can't afford a dollar, or do you have? And the point he was making was, if you need that much birth control, there must be a lot of something going on there. So he threw some humor at it, and it was true. He said, if you get paid for having sex, you're a prostitute. And I'm not going to get carried away, but it's little things to me. I don't think it's worthy of a CNN obituary to report that.
No, and again, they're going to keep on. They maybe keep on bringing this up because they are envious of him. That's my opinion of it. They can't stand his success.
I know,
couldn't stand it.
And he was able to deal with people on the left, the ones that were sane and civil, and that made him mad too. But I'm going to miss him myself. I mean, I'll tell you, I got turned around by Rush Limbaugh. I really did. I was supporting Bill Clinton in the initial Democrat, because I was a Democrat at the time, I just got off active duty, the Democrat presidential primary, which Joe Biden was in, by the way, back in the 80s, if you remember, and like early 90s. And a guy, I was in a ham radio club, and a guy that I got real friendly with, he was a lot older than I was. He was 60 at the time. I was 29 or 30. And I was talking to him on a break about Bill Clinton and how I thought he was different than some of the other Democrats. And he shook his head. He was a millionaire, by the way. And he was a millionaire. He started out owning 2 H&R Blocks, working for, he started out working for the IRS as an agent. And that made him buy 2 H&R Blocks because he thought the government was ripping everybody off. And then he ended up complete conservative, a millionaire from those H&R Blocks. But he handed me a slip of paper, and I've told this story 100 times. He said, go listen to this, and I'll talk to you next week at the meeting. And I looked at this thing. It was like Rush Limbaugh. I forget, AM 580, I think it was, out in Harrisburg. And, man, I listened to him, and I listened to him from then on until now. I mean, everywhere I ever went, you know, if I was on vacation or, you know, deployed overseas, or I always listened to Rush.
And you're likely one of millions.
Yeah. Oh,
Hutch.
yeah.
You're
indeed.
likely one of millions that he touched.
He did. There's no doubt. I mean, and like I said, a couple things. The AM radio is a big deal to me, too, because I've always been into AM radio. AM radio has a very low frequency, which, you know, gives it a very long wavelength, which makes it a little bit hard to manage transmitting. You look at an AM radio station and you see the towers at the radio station. And a lot of people think that little thing at the top of the tower is the antenna. Well, it's not. That whole damn tower
is the transmission.
Is the element.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way they're arrayed at the station determines the directionality of the wavelength. And in the evening, when the sun goes down,
that's when the signal can travel.
The D level of the atmosphere, which I think it's 7 miles up, something like that. The ionosphere, I forget the word for it, but it electrifies and it gets it gets like a skip event where you can skip radio signals off it, and it can go for 1,000 miles or more. But it's, you know, in and out. It's just a great medium. I love it. I love talking on it. I love building antennas and things like that. But anyway, Rush Limbaugh, we love you, man, and I hope you rest in peace, man. I really do. I hope you're looking down on all of us. You certainly affected us. Okay, moving to other politics. I've been waiting for this to happen, and I don't know how far this is going to go. I'd like to get your opinion on it. But the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee's attacks against House Republicans for their alleged support for the QAnon conspiracy theory have received backlash from some Democrats themselves. The DCCC launched over a $500,000 television and digital ad campaign accusing Republicans of standing with Q and now with you. The ads targeted many swing district Republicans such as Mike Garcia, California, Young Kim, California, Michelle Steele, California, Maria Elvira Salazar, Florida, Dawn Bacon, Nevada, whatever NE is, Nebraska, Brian Fitzpatrick, Pennsylvania, Beth Van Doon, Texas, and House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy, California. Contrary to the ad's messaging, 146 House Republicans voted in favor last October of a resolution condemning QAnon. This would suggest that the QAnon conspiracy theory is not in the mainstream of the Republican Party. Now, multiple Democrats are concerned about the potential backlash the ad campaign might have, worrying the attacks stray away from the fact. Well, you know, I look at this and I see a big generational gap in the leftist communist party. When you look at it, I see these people that don't have 10 more years to live that are in positions of leadership in the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Steny Hoyer, Clyburn, Maxine Waters. You look at all these elderly people. They're Leahy. I mean, they're not long for this world. They don't care what mud they kick up. And I think these younger politicians are going, hold on a minute. Before you light this place on fire, let me think about the future here.
Right. And whether QAnon is true or not, factual or not, there's a lot of pissed off people out there. And they've had enough. Hopefully those list of D's that you listed do go away pretty quickly. That would be a start.
Yeah, no, those were all Republicans that I mentioned. Those were
the other two that you mentioned.
That's who the ads were
right
aimed at.
Whether true or not, again, I think there's just a lot of pissed off people out there.
Oh, there is, and there's, you know, they can say what they want about Q, but there's no denying that the political class at the national level has a sexual problem, a deviancy problem. I'm not going to get into detail, but you know, that was part of the Q thing, was this human trafficking and child, pedophilia. and things like that. It just seems like between Hollywood and Washington, those are the usual suspects every time.
It seems like they have a real appetite for that stuff.
It does, and that's
an insatiable appetite.
And that's what QAnon was all about. A lot of it. It started. I mean, what I know of it, I have to be honest. There's no way that I can connect that many damn dots. When you look at the stuff that people put out, and they put out a 450-page thing of text, I'm not reading that.
No.
You better attach some video to that thing, because
Yeah.
I'm not sitting there and reading through all this cryptic stuff. But there's people that do that, and some of it sounded compelling. I don't know if it was true or not, but it seems to go along with police reports. I mean,
yeah, some of it probably has to be true.
Probably does. Now, one of the things that you're starting to notice with this administration, this asterisk administration, is that they're not afraid to discriminate against a state if it's a red state, if it leans Republican like Texas. Millions of Americans are literally freezing to death with no power in Texas for the fourth day in a row, and at least 21 people are dead. But President Joe Biden is publicly ignoring the crisis.
Well, there's a reason for that, because Texas pretty much is on its own power grid. I don't know if you know the structure.
I do know that.
Structure there.
It's one of the few states that literally could secede from the Union and succeed.
That's one of the reasons why it could succeed, because it has that infrastructure that can support itself. And they decided to do this a while ago, and now it's good and bad. Some of this is coming back to be a little bit problematic because they don't have the support. However, I think this is going to be a good learning opportunity for Texas. So when the next time comes around, because guess what, everyone, it's not getting warmer, it's getting colder.
Imagine that.
So this is a good I think, despite people suffering and perhaps, there's some deaths.
20, what I mean.
There's some deaths involved, and there's some unfortunate situations. This could be definitely a learning situation for that state. So when the next time this comes around, they're able to handle it and understand it and know what to do.
Now, I don't know if this had anything to do with the outcome, but one of the subsections of this story is that the windmills froze up. All of the natural, or the green energy that they had set up failed because they just froze. It makes me wonder, what do our windmills do? Do they have antifreeze systems in them? Or
I was wondering about that myself, as like what precautionary you always have redundancy as far as backup, right? You should always have a backup plan, because that's what you have in all really tactical planning.
Sure.
Any planning at all, you usually have a backup
especially
plan.
with municipal governance. I mean, that's your whole reason for being there.
Right, because you're supposed to be the backbone. You're supposed to be the infrastructure. So I had that curious thought myself of, well, what's supposed to be in these? Or should they be made out of a certain material that doesn't freeze? Is that a problem in and of itself? I'm not an engineer or designer, but why did it freeze? Was it just such a phenomenon, or just a bad set of events that all happened all together that this occurred? But yes, there may need to be better planning.
Indeed, and when the whole problem with letting the government pick winners and losers, which is what happens when you give subsidies to a company where the technology's not there yet. I mean, I don't remember where I was. It might have been here. But, the local government, in their genius, decided to replace traffic lights with LEDs, replace the bulbs, the incandescent bulbs, with LEDs. And what they forgot to think of was the incandescent bulbs work so well 12 months out of the year because they emit heat. And when the ice starts to form on the bulb, the heat melts it. LEDs do not. And they froze over, and you couldn't see the light. And this is the reason why you have to let the market decide. And I have to say, LEDs have come a long way in the last 5 years. I've got, except for one tube light exclusively the rest of this stuff is LEDs in the studio. And it's because they work. It's not because I'm trying to save energy money or anything like that. It's because they work. When you use something that requires electrical power, it's going to cost money. It's one of those things. You're not going to stop that, and so I'll use it when it becomes viable. But a lot of this, apparently these windmills are not.
They're not viable in order to supply the total demand of electricity. And from my understanding, the foundation with those included could not support the total grid. And then there was such a draw in demand because from what I understand, the temperatures were near zero there, which is unusual for that part of the country. They just weren't ready for the additional demand with those sources in the pipeline, which caused the whole system to go haywire.
Right.
And
it's I'm looking at a little bit of viscosity talk in the chat room, and of course you're not going to use Arctic oil in Texas, but there still has to be somebody on the board that looks over the historical weather data and says this is the low point. And unless they totally broke that, they should have been, protected at least with a, some kind of a mitigating circumstance, mitigating plan to mitigate that. I mean, whether it's electric heat or heating coils or whatever, there should have been something if you're gonna use it to produce power, life sustaining power to your government.
Yeah, and not to veer away from the subject, but I saw an article and I didn't dive into it, but they blamed the Arctic warming for the cold in Texas.
That sounds good. I mean, that's. You can't make it up, man. You can't. You cannot make it up. I mean, I was just to change the subject a little bit. I listen to the police radio all the time, and I got a couple good ones. The one, people in the city killed me, man. I mean, once they learn that they can call the police and nobody gets on them if it's a bullshit call. This lady, I'm listening to the scanner. Caller, the dispatcher's talking to the cop, right? The caller reports that she paid a man to shovel her walk, and he did not shovel the steps. So she calls a government dude with a gun because of that.
That's not a criminal thing.
But the cop went. The only thing worse than the people is the cops, but unreal, man. It just, no, I shouldn't say that because a lot of times when they get those kind of calls, like there was a lot of calls during this COVID bullshit, people ratting out their neighbors.
Yeah, narcs. Yeah.
And they said, I'm not going to that call. I heard that 100 times. The cops are smarter than these idiots, and it's the other one. And I don't know what category to put this one under, so I'm just going to share it with you. The neighbor calls the cops, says the neighbors have taken their front door off the hinges, and they are in the yard burning it next to the gas meter. I'm like, I'm glad that the dispatchers say stuff twice because I was doubting what I heard the first time. But she confirmed it the second time.
Was that
That was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Or 2 days ago.
Maybe they were trying to stay warm.
Outside. I just don't know where to go with that call. I don't know what would possess you to do that other than drugs or something of that nature. But who knows? Ladies and gentlemen, get a police radio. Man. You'll never look at your neighbors the same.
I wouldn't want to be near those neighbors, but hey.
They're out there.
Yeah, they are out there, literally.
Now, President Biden and Kamala Harris, President Asterix Biden, and whatever you want to call Harris, did a CNN town hall event last night in Wisconsin.
I heard some of this already and read some about it already. And you, this is what we were talking about earlier in the introduction of the show. You need to listen to this.
Yes, you need to understand that the powers that have taken over the government in the United States of America and every agency in that government forced this guy on you. And now this guy is so bad that there are reports, Sal, that Kamala Harris, a rookie by any stretch, should not be anywhere near this job, is taking calls from foreign leaders instead of President Asterisk Biden. Listen to these clips, and you're going to start to understand why.
The other portion is a lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, in the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccination at the Walgreens or at the particular store. You know, Chinese leaders, if you know anything about Chinese history, it has always been the time when China has been victimized by the outer world is when they haven't been unified at home. So the central, to vastly overstated, the central principle of Xi Jinping is that there must be a united, tightly controlled China. And he uses his rationale for the things he does based on that. I point out to him, no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And so the idea, I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the way, he said he gets it.
Talk about a word salad. What the hell did he just say? I'll tell you what he said. We have to lie to the people. That's what he said. He said China knows, Xi knows, and you're going to hear him say that these murdering of these Uyghur Muslims is just a cultural thing, and we just have to put up with it. He's a liar.
Well, listen to that again. Just listen to it. It's all over the place. It's a mess.
It is.
He can't even put the guy cannot put two sentences together. He can't.
All right, we're going back to it. You can always check this out at the Video 2 page at SteelCityResistance.com.
Culturally, there are different norms that each country
it's normal
and
to kill people.
Their leaders are expected to follow. All right, sir. Good to see you, man. Hey, folks. How are you? Good to be back, man.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, sir.
And you enjoy being home with the baby more. I don't want to hear that.
I do, yes. Yeah, he's 9.5 months, so I'm very happy.
No. Everybody knows I like kids better than people.
I saw a picture of you with your grandson recently.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right.
You know, the CDC has said it is not a prerequisite for teachers to be vaccinated for them to go back to school. But many teachers are wary of going back to school. And we've had some cities have to sue the teachers union or sue their own school districts to try to get these schools to reopen. Can you reassure teachers who are listening right now that it is safe for them to go back to school even if they are not vaccinated, if these public health measures like distancing and masks are being implemented?
So first of all, let me just say this, and the president has said it, and we're all really clear. Teachers should be a priority. Teachers should be a priority. Look, let me just tell you something.
Students
I love
should be a
teachers.
priority.
My first grade teacher, Mrs. Frances Wilson, attended my law school graduation. Teachers are critical to our children's development. They should be able to teach in a safe place and expand the minds and the opportunities of our children. So teachers should be a priority along with other frontline workers, and we're going to make them a priority. I believe that up to 22 states, I believe, have prioritized teachers in terms of vaccinations.
But if they're not
the states have
vaccinated, is it safe for them?
Well, I think that we have to decide if we can put in place safe measures. This is why, and it's so important, we pass the American Rescue Plan. The American Rescue Plan, which the President and I have proposed, is a plan that is about getting our schools back open. Why does this connect with what we're talking about right now? It's going to be safer for our schools to reopen when we can get our schools the infrastructure needs, like helping them with their ventilation systems, helping them create social distancing with barriers barriers,
money,
the things that
money.
are necessary to get them back open in a safe
But
way.
I don't want
The
to
American-
beat it
no
to death,
spreading
but
in
I
schools.
know there are teachers listening, and the CDC has said they don't have to be vaccinated to go back to school. Of
We think they
course
should be a
it's the
priority. We think they should be a priority. We think they should be a priority, and the states are making decisions individually about where they will be on the list of who gets vaccinated. I believe they should be a priority. The president believes they should be a priority.
Let's talk, Vaughn. You know.
And the biggest thing, though, is you remember when you and I shouldn't say it that way, as you remember, but when you and I talked last, we talked about it's one thing to have the vaccine, which we didn't have when we came into office, but a vaccinator. How do you get the vaccine into someone's arm?
You have, over the years, over your career, you've already spent a great deal of time at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, except now you're living there and you're president. It's been 4 weeks. What's it like? How's it different?
I get up in the morning and look at Jill and say, where the hell are we? No, it's, look, it's,
yes.
I've only been president 4 weeks. And sometimes, because things are moving so fast, not because of burden, it feels like 4 years. It's not because of the burden. It's because there's so much happening that you focus on. You're constantly focusing on one problem or opportunity, one right ad seriatum.
What the hell?
What happens is that
Right ad seriatum.
What I didn't realize, I had been in the Oval Office 100 times as vice president, or more than that, every morning for the initial meetings, but I had never been up in the residence. And one of the things that I don't know about you all, but I was raised in a way that you didn't look for anybody to wait on you.
No, that's not how you were raised. They're little kids now.
It's
I know.
where I find myself extremely self-conscious. They're wonderful people, work at the White House. But someone, standing there and, making sure hands...
Shut up. This guy, I just, I think of things. And, for instance, if you're an FBI agent, do FBI agents know that 3/4 of the country can't stand them? Do they know that? Are they aware that we know what they did? Do the people that put Joe Biden in that position, over 82 million of us, or however many, do they realize how angry we are? Or aren't we angry?
No.
I'm only speaking for myself. I'm furious.
They're totally unaware, and they got their empty vessel in there so they can push all their wish list items through to the extent that they can do it. And he's their empty vessel. That guy cannot put two sentences together. There's nothing. He's out of it. He is. He's out of it.
And he was when he was in his prime.
Yeah, he's out of it.
He wasn't out of it the way he is now. But I've heard people way before he was even close to being president, when he was just in the Senate, and they said Joe Biden has no filter.
What does this guy stand for? What does this
Himself,
guy stand
his family,
for?
his money.
What does this guy stand for? I don't,
Nobody knows.
I didn't know about the town hall until today.
I didn't either. Look at all the flip-flops he did.
Yeah,
he's the one that came out and said that Barack Obama was for homosexual marriage when he wasn't at that time. If you remember, he pulled the trigger too early.
I'm not going to ban fracking. What's the first thing he did? XL pipeline, gone.
The whole thing. And I got some more, too. I got a couple more. It's not over yet. But the guy, it's not a, what do they call it? It's not a gaffe. This is what Joe Biden feels. When he says something, by God, he means it.
But he doesn't feel it, because I don't think he knows.
No, not the lies.
Right.
But the gaffes.
Yeah.
When he comes out and he says people in the inner city, in minority communities and Hispanic communities are too stupid to know how to go online.
Who doesn't know how to go online
Everybody
now
does.
in 2021? Who doesn't know to go online? That is such a pile of bull crap.
But he said that.
Yeah.
He said that, and he means that. That's what he thinks.
Who doesn't have a phone in their hands? Who tell me who does? And better yet,
you want to tell me? You want to answer a question for me? Why is there an idiot when any politician talks about COVID? Why is there a moron with sign language in the corner of the shot when every freaking device in the United States of America has closed captioning?
Good question. I'm not too sure.
Why do they do that? Why do they make an idiot out of themselves? That's the first thing I would end. If I was in a position of leadership, that little monkey in the corner's out. He's gone. Ever since the guy at Nelson Mandela's funeral. You remember that?
Yeah,
guy?
I do. Yeah, he was a, that was an artist.
Oh.
He was an artist.
He was. That was awesome.
That was an artist at work.
But he didn't say shit. I mean, he wasn't saying what whoever was talking was saying.
No.
It was like a cheerleader or something like that.
That was a performance.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That was totally amazing. Hey, do you where you work? Do you have in the men's room? Do you have urinals?
Yes, sir.
Do you ever go to any clubs that have urinals that you go to? Turn around and look at that target right there. Grab that target. See it? The red target?
Yeah.
That's from Rocky, who's the president of the chat room. And you can certainly take one of those. That is a target, ladies and gentlemen, that Rocky sent the show to be inserted in the drain portion of a male urinal. And it has Jane Fonda's picture. What's it say?
Hanoi Jane, and it has a hammer and sickle near her cheekbone.
There, take one of those with you.
Yeah, well, I have to watch out if there's cameras close by.
Well, give it to one of the young guys that just started there and tell him to go put it in there. One of the Democrats. Tell him it's a Republican lady.
I'm going to, you know what, I might stick it. Well, no, I don't want to stick it at the toilet seat at home. That's going to be more for me to clean. So
right.
that's probably a bad idea. But yeah, I'm going to take one, Rocky. I'm opening the package right now. I'm listening to Hutch because, I have to listen to Hutch because, there's some. I think I got about 9 reasons maybe in front of me of why I should listen to Hutch.
Hey, we're doing just fine. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Cold War Radio, and we are in the middle of the week on a Wednesday evening with Sal in studio. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
One America News Network, your leading source for the latest breaking national and international news. With nearly 4 times as many headlines as the other networks. Straight news, no speculation, no opinion, just the facts. Complete coverage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. One America News Network, your source for credible news.
The very First Amendment in the Constitution of the United States of America gives us the freedom to express our opinions and ideas in many ways. Speech can be weak, speech can be strong. Speech can be words, speech can be song. Speech can breed love, speech can breed hate. Speech can be poor, speech can be great. There are so many things that speech can be, but above all else, speech must be free. This message is brought to you by the NAB Education Foundation, the Broadcast Education Association, McCormick Foundation, and this station.
A representative republic, not a democracy. Cold War Radio celebrates and defends this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr., your host. Ward, Sal, and Jack are my wingmen, and your live calls let it all make sense. Join us, Cold War Radio, live on Spreaker and forever on all podcast platforms. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Silver Star Medal to Robert Sanderlin, Master Sergeant, United States Army, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action against the enemy while serving as a detachment team sergeant in the 1st Battalion, 7th Special Forces Group Airborne, Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force, Afghanistan, during combat operations in support of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan on 8 April 2007. On that date, Master Sergeant Sanderlin and his team were ambushed during a foot patrol in the Upper Sangin Valley in Helmand Province. During the initial moments of the attack, Master Sergeant Sanderlin was knocked unconscious by shrapnel from a rocket-propelled grenade. After recovering, he ran under intense fire to retrieve an anti-tank weapon and engaged 3 enemy machine gun positions with the weapon, all the while drawing heavy volumes of fire to his position. At one point during the 8-hour battle, when a team member was wounded and in danger, he moved under heavy fire to reach his comrade. He moved on foot, under fire, and through difficult terrain the length of 3 football fields to set up a landing zone to evacuate the wounded soldier. After the casualty had been evacuated, he used a door-mounted machine gun to cover the team's extraction from the ambush zone, despite the fact that his vehicle was hit 11 times by enemy fire. He then helped to direct Air Force Special Operations AC-130 gunship fire that killed 195 enemy fighters. Hometown, Norfolk, Virginia. Personal awards: Silver Star, War on Terrorism, Purple Heart. Master Sergeant Sanderlin, job well done. And God bless America. Boy, this is long and drawn out. Bam.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, live from Pittsburgh Studio number 1, it's Cold War Radio. Here's your host, Hutch Bailey Jr.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the second half of the show. The phone lines are open, 412-206-6208. If you would like to join the conversation, say a couple words about Rush. Maybe I think Sal might have a question for you. You don't know how that's going to work out. Oh, I forgot Sal's here too. I got to keep my hands off of those buttons, man. Those are Sal's buttons.
No, that's all right. I saw you. I saw you over there. Looked at your eyes, and I saw the red icon, and then I looked back, and then you. Don't worry.
I'm not touching them anymore.
No, it's okay.
We're touching them.
No, we're good. I'm not stepping on your fingers. I'm too far away to do that.
Some good news. Laura Loomer, and I think she was wasn't she a QAnon person? I'm pretty sure she was one of those
little flamboyant. How would we put that?
Well, apparently Twitter gave or censored her, and she turned that into Twitter giving support to her political adversary, and she sued, and now it's going to the Supreme Court, man. It's on the Supreme Court docket. So maybe after their cowardice after the elections, maybe they've decided that maybe they're going to do their job and try to get this representative republic back into standing a little closer to liberty than where we are.
Maybe, but Twitter's a total wasteland. It's a total.
It is. I'm not there anymore.
It's a total waste of time. A bunch of people were on it that just, it's a cesspool. It's good for only a few things. Maybe some breaking news. Maybe some other various things that you want to follow or personally like. But otherwise, really don't waste your time on Twitter. It is a huge waste of time. Yes, we need to have more alternatives. I hear that Parler's back up. There's also some other avenues, but
we'll see. But you're right. I mean, Twitter. I've been knocked off since September. I used to like the potential that you had to connect with people that were very famous or popular or whatever.
Just like I connected with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Prime example.
Right.
It's a prime example. You're able to connect with people, and that was my appeal to it. But it's long gone.
It is. Well, I guess that's how we met.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's true. There was a lot of people like that in my life. Most of them are out now because they were flaming leftists in the Twitter sphere of Pittsburgh. Most of them are not even around. It was kind of neat at the beginning. At any given time, I'd have 50 people over here.
It was kind of chaotic and I don't want to say nuts, but it was controlled. It was fun.
Oh yeah,
there was a lot of things going on. Flames, drinks.
Oh yeah,
fireworks, all kind of good stuff. It was a good time, but I think it went down the path where it was supposed to go.
I agree. Yeah, we got older. People started having families. I already had one at the time, but anyway, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Eugene, Oregon. And welcome Marlene to the program. Good evening, Marlene. What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, good morning, good afternoon, or evening, Hutch.
What? Wait! Stop right there. What time zone are you in? Did you just wake up?
No, I'm perfectly awake. No, we're at, long story short, we are, Dave and I are on vacation. We're heading down into Northern California. We're in Grants Pass tonight.
Okay.
In California?
Yep, Northern Cal. We're going to go through the Redwoods.
All right, cool.
Okay, so what's your question or so I'm going to take the mic here, Marlene, and what's your question or topic tonight?
I guess I don't know if I've got a question so much, but I know we've been talking a lot about Rush, and I was thinking back to when I first started listening to him. I was going back to college. This was like mid-'90s when Clinton was in office. And a friend of mine that I'd gone to grade school with, she told me about him. She said, Marlene, you should listen to him. He's a Christian. And I thought, oh, okay. So I started listening to him, and he was a riot. I loved him.
I did
still
too.
remember to this day his hilarious impersonations of Bill Clinton. Those are a riot. He did it perfectly.
He was good. There's no question. I like the a couple of the parodies early on. Plus, there was a guy that used to call from the high mountains of somewhere. You remember that guy? He was like out in the mountains somewhere, and I think he died. And then there was a there were so many things that he did. And then you go back to CNN Stelter, and what a smug prick. I mean, this guy, I think Stelter's might be 40. He might be 40, you know what I mean? And he didn't live through any of this. You know what I mean?
No. Marlene, it's good to hear your story, and you're one of another millions of people that we talked about in the beginning that have had Rush Limbaugh in their life, which is awesome story. So what else you got going on? Tell us another story or topic.
Oh, let's see. Well, we've got, I was looking at American Thinker and got the article in the chat if people want to look at it. Basically, they were talking about how Kamala Harris seems to be overshadowing the usurper in chief, as our friend Rod would say. And we have these pictures on there of her behind him and all this crap, and she's making phone calls. And basically, it's almost like she's trying to take over and do his job and just leave him as a figurehead.
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear what they're going to do. They're going to take him out, man. I mean, they're not going to.
Oh, I know that.
They're not going to let him stay there.
Yeah,
the guy's he's a short timer, man. He doesn't have much time left. I mean, he's going to come out there, and I'll tell you, the thing that bothers me the most about this is his wife. I can't and the reason I say that is because I just went through a life-changing experience, and my wife was integral in my recovery, and I thought about her as I watched Joe Biden, and I'm thinking Joe Biden is the worst person in the country right now to put her family and her husband, the only guy that gave her anything, through what she's doing and embarrassing the family like that. That family will never be the same. She should have took him out. She should have took him out of politics. She should have got him gone.
Yeah.
And she didn't.
I honestly think that whole family is totally dysfunctional.
I'll tell you what, that's gold digging to another level right there.
Yep.
So
I think they are. I mean, between the kids, between Joe and his wife, and little Mr. Crack Addict Hunter, and oh my God.
Well, that's why that's why we're going to start, and we've started bringing to everyone's attention exactly what we brought upon ourselves and what's going to happen in the future.
Said.
So that's why That's why we started this. We don't want to hear them. However, we need to continue to remember exactly what happened.
Because you need to see what a mess he's in, and some people will realize, my God, I voted for this.
What a mess we're in. Can you imagine being Xi Jinping? He's got to be doing handstands.
Oh, he's got to be salivating over there.
Kidding? I was saying Xi Jinping would be jumping up and down doing the happy dance because he's got Biden in his hip pocket.
Sure, and you look at the people in the EU.
Whatever he says.
The people in the EU, Boris or whatever his name is, he's can't wait till he has international passport vaccination certifications. I mean, these people, we got to be very careful, and we're going to have to start getting louder. And you know, I forgot to say this, and I've got some other callers on Marlene, so I need to get your final comments. Anything
final
else?
comments. I was at home this morning when I heard about Rush, and I told David, I said, David, guess what? Rush died. He's like, oh. And it was kind of a gut punch. And we are heading, like I say, we're enjoying our vacation. We're heading down into the Redwoods tomorrow, and I'll probably be chatting away from California probably on Friday and Saturday.
All right. Well, like Rocky said, you know, Rush is in a better place. Let's celebrate his accomplishments in his life.
In the chat, I think you know, he's probably doing talk radio in heaven, and I bet you everybody up there's loving it.
You're probably right. You're probably right. All right, Marlene, thanks for calling. Always appreciate it.
You're welcome, Rich. Bye-bye.
All right, let's swing over to Kentucky and let's welcome Rico. Rico, I gotta say, I'm starting to see some good things out of Nelson County. Where's Nelson County? Do you know?
I have no idea.
The Nelson County Republican Party wrote Senator Mitch McConnell on Tuesday, demanding that he immediately resign from his leadership position with the Republican Party's caucus in the United States Senate. This comes after McConnell's comments on Saturday and an editorial in the Wall Street Journal attacking and smearing President Donald Trump. Trump won Nelson County in Kentucky 67.5% to 30% in the 2020 election. And I seem to recall that Mitch McConnell got pulled over the finish line by the Donald. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I don't know about, did you say Nelson County?
I did.
Nelson County, that's where Bardstown's at. So that's close to the Indiana-Kentucky border. So I know a little bit about that. It's home of the Nelson County High School Cardinals, actually. And
that's actually
colors are
there was a tragedy,
red, white, and blue.
A tragedy.
But anyways, I heard.
I must not have his ears on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did hear a little bit about that. I did not know where it came from. I'm pretty happy that there's some people standing up in the state of Kentucky against that little bastard.
He's rough, man, and we're going to talk about him again down the line. I mean, he's really affiliated with Communist China in a very bad way.
I do get him confused with Graham sometimes.
No, you should no. Why you get the confused? They're just about one and the same. They're just different chameleons in different states. That's what they are.
I have to, you know, the questions that I do have for Sal and you is, you know, what I'm seeing out of the, you know, the Hollywood elites and the Democratic followers and the minions of the Democratic Party is a whole bunch of sludge, a whole bunch of vitriol.
I know.
A whole bunch of, I mean, it's just hatred. I'm going to ask just 3 questions. 1, do these Democrats, they're simple questions. 1, do these Democrats have a heart? 2, do these Democrats have a soul? And as we see the withering away of our Constitution and our thoughts of our forefathers, can we fix it? Those are the questions.
1, do they have a heart? Yes, but it's misplaced. And it's misplaced because they don't have our best interest in heart. And that goes to them having a soul, and it's empty. Empty to the core. Because, again, it goes back to the heart of what they really want. And they want power and control over you and I and everything we do and almost everything that we say and where we go.
I want to take the third part. I want to take the can we do anything about it? And you can also do it, but I just have a burr under my saddle, and it is...
Do it, man.
It is that...
Smash my question apart.
Yes, we can. We can do something about it if we realize why we're getting our asses kicked. We're getting our butts kicked because they use tactics that work, and we don't. For instance, I think it is high time for us to end the deal where we never say anything bad about union teachers. I think that needs to end because those are the people that caused enough people to elect somebody like Biden. If it wasn't for the way that our children have been just completely taken over with propaganda. Indoctrinated is exactly right. That's their fault. And they live on your street. And until you take them and make sure they know that they're the asshole on the block because they're taking, and I don't care that they're a nice, like Kamala Harris said, my first grade teacher came to my graduation of law school. I don't care. What'd you pay her? What is she now? What are they teaching the white kids in her class that they're inferior? Are they teaching the little black kids in class that there's 6 bathrooms? What are they doing to these children?
And that starts at the state and local level, and that's where we
on your street,
right? And you're right, and right down to your street.
That's you're damn right.
So can we change it? Yeah. Well, can we? Let me finish here. Can we change it? Absolutely. We need to start at the ground level with your neighbors. Don't be afraid to say something. Open your mouth. Don't apologize.
When you go past, that's right. Don't apologize and don't ask permission. When you go past an event where there's teachers on strike, union teachers, because that's the only ones that strike, in the middle of this, when our kids are killing themselves because they can't go get dirty, they can't go out and blow off steam. When you go past a demonstration like that, a protest, a strike, roll down your window and scream at them, go back to work. How are we cannot survive if we stay hostage to these people. These communists don't care about your kids. Did you hear Kamala Harris? The freaking teachers ought to be the ones that we're paying attention to, ought to have the status, have the
vaccine.
The vaccine before anybody else, the priority. I'm starting to get freaking Alzheimer's. I can't pull words out.
No, that's all right.
But anyway, the teachers, screw the teachers. What about the kids? I don't give a rat's ass about the teachers. The teachers are overpaid already. And they know it. They know it. And I know it because I have a link. I could tell you by name your teacher's salary. And you would not believe how much an assistant principal at a freaking kindergarten, the 5th grade makes. Because it's more than I ever made. And
long time ago when I was in grade school, they didn't make a whole lot. Like
they do now.
But 5,000.
That's a lot of money.
But go ahead, Rico. Go ahead, Rico. What's up?
Did you get my graph?
Yes, I did. And that's what we're talking about. That part of what we're talking about now is the indoctrination of these students to make them feel inferior, which is a travesty, and it should not be permitted to be taught. And that's where you need to be involved in the local level to tell these people that stuff is not acceptable.
Did you,
if anything,
notice
Rico,
one thing though?
Yeah, if anything, Rico, that is racist itself. And we're talking about a graph that pretty much, I believe it's being put out for instruction, and I don't know what school district. It is abominable.
New York City.
Yeah, it makes anyone white pretty much.
No matter what you do, you're automatically. There's nothing positive on that graph about white people. White people are automatically bad,
and which
means.
Go ahead, Rico. Go ahead.
Which means two things. One, black people and Hispanic people and all people of color will use this to basically discriminate against white people.
Hold on. Hold on, Rico. I got to get in there because I got to just set the record straight. The people that are doing this are white people. They're not black people and they're not Hispanics. These are white people. To get to the problem, it's like Ward said last night. To get mad at other races over this is not the right way to go. What they're doing, what the white people are doing, the white communists, like Ward said, you take a jar and you put half red ants and half black ants in that jar and you sit it on the table and nothing happens. You take it and you shake that jar up and pour those ants out on the street, and they kill each other. It's time to get mad at the son of a bitch shaking the jar, Rico. And it's the white media, and it's the white politicians, and there's some blacks involved there too. But all they are is lapdogs to the whites. Trust me on that.
What I'm saying here is this whole idea showing that white people are not good at all gives people of color a tool given by white people, and it also tells white people
a parasite. If you're a parasite, you're a parasite.
What's your whiteness here? What's your whiteness? Yeah. What's your level of whiteness? And it's also denigrating white people. So it's trying to divide a community.
Right, and it's
at
working.
At the freaking high school and grade school level. It's destructive.
Well, it is destructive, and you know what? People are going to see this, and people are going to leave, and that's what they need to do. If you're truly upset about it, you need to really buckle up and get the hell out of there and move on, move to somewhere else. Hey, Rico, we have some other callers. Final thoughts, sir.
Well, as Rush Limbaugh would always say, I'm going to consume an adult beverage.
All right, Rico. Thanks for calling, brother.
Later.
I'll always appreciate it. Let's go to Sean in California. I'll just let you know, I got to work this in here, but it looks like we're going to be done with the masks and everything by next Christmas.
You know, let me ask you... Let me ask you, just for folks who are watching out there, there are a lot of people who are scared, and there's a lot of people who are hurting. When do you think this pandemic is, when is it going to be done? When are we going to...
I want you to remember what a fool they made out of President Donald Trump when he mentioned the reality of the herd immunity. Remember the way they treated him.
Get back to normal.
Well, you know, all the experts, all the committee that I put together, the leading researchers in the world, in the United States, are on this committee of mine, headed by Dr. Fauci and others. They tell me, be careful not to predict things that you don't know for certain what's going to happen, because then you'll be held accountable. I get that. But let me tell you what I think based on all that I've learned and all that I've studied and all that I think that I know.
Biden studying.
It's a high probability that the vaccinations that are available today and the new one, Johnson & Johnson, God willing, will prove to be useful, that with those vaccinations, the ability to continue to spread the disease is going to diminish considerably because of what they call herd immunity.
Oh.
And now they're saying somewhere around 70% of the people have to constitute. Some people said 50, 60, but a significant number have to be in a position where they have been vaccinated and or they've been through it and
have antibodies.
And so if that works that way, as my mother would say, with the grace of God and the goodwill of the neighbors, that by next Christmas, I think we'll be in a very different circumstance, God willing.
Inshallah, twice.
I think a year from now, when it's 22 below zero here, a year from now, I think that there'll be significantly fewer people having to be socially distanced, have to wear masks, etc. But we don't know. So I don't want to overpromise anything here. I told you when I ran and when I got elected, I will always level with you. To use Franklin Roosevelt's example, I'll shoot you, give it straight from the shoulder.
I'll shoot you.
Straight from the shoulder what I know and what I don't know. We don't know for certain, but it is highly unlikely that by the beginning of next year's traditional school year in September, we are not significantly better off than we are today. But it matters. It matters whether you continue to wear that mask. It matters whether you continue to socially distance. It matters whether you wash your hands with hot water. Those things matter. They matter.
Man.
And that can save a lot of lives.
Come on, man.
While we're getting to this point, we get to herd immunity.
Did he butcher that? God willing and the neighbors? What was that about? Wasn't it God willing and the creeks don't rise? I mean, what was that? Neighbors?
I don't know, but straight from the shoulder. Is
I'm going to shoot you straight from the shoulder.
No, straight from the shoulder. He's punch drunk. I'll tell you why. Because straight from the shoulder is an idiom from the late 1800s. And it's a group of words or phrases has been figuratively meaning that's not easily deduced from its literal meaning.
But Franklin Roosevelt, Sal. He's one of the Roosevelts.
I'm telling you, he's punch drunk.
is.
That's a good way to describe.
Sean, California, you're up next, straight from the shoulder. What's going on?
Hey, Hutch and everybody. Okay, my question for you guys is basically, I've seen so many people who are giving up hope, and I'm trying to keep them, up straight and saying, hey, no, this is not how you should be facing or feeling right now. Excuse me. They're trying to demoralize you. And I keep telling them that, and they keep saying, there's no point anymore. There's going to be so much election fraud this next cycle. What's the point of voting anymore? And I kind of have a hard time refuting that point because, yeah, there is going to be some election fraud, but you
No, but
beat
the point is, Sean, people need to get involved in their state and local politics in order to get this voting mess under control with whatever state you're in. You need to get involved. That's number one. That's one of the biggest things that we need to do is to be involved. So I don't care really. I understand how people feel, but you need to get involved, whether it be on the state or local level, to start addressing these voting issues if you have concerns. And I think we all have concerns.
Pennsylvania State Representative Seth Grove, York, Pennsylvania, is the point man on election problems and Dominion machines if you're in the state of Pennsylvania. If you're in any other state, contact the Speaker of your House of Representatives or the equivalent thereof, whatever assembly is in your state that serves as a legislature. Find out who the boss is and ask them. Ask, especially if you live in a blue state or one of these swing states. Ask them, what are you doing? That's what scares them. When you get in their grill, as Steve Bannon would say, if you get up in their grill, that's what scares them the most.
Because right, and I tell these to them, it's like they just say, no, I don't care anymore. And it's like, wow.
The other thing is tell them
that
you got to tell them to stop watching the damn news too. If you sit there and you turn that television on to anything other than entertainment, and even Sal, even in the entertainment, you got to watch. Because there's subliminal messages in every show.
No, it's not subliminal. It's overt. There's overt. We were the other evening. We were watching a show, and someone in the household was very interested in it, and she said they had to ruin the damn thing with whatever it was, whatever I forget.
Homosexual.
Yeah, and it was also
it's too predictable.
It was also racist. There were some racist overtones.
Oh yeah,
and it was just. They ruined it because it actually was a pretty good story theme until they got to the very end and bam. And
I'm going to tell you the best show.
And the missus was like really, really happy about the show. She's like, they ruined it.
She saw it though.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. Cause that's how we win. When you get the normal person on the couch that doesn't give her, does your woman ever listen to the show?
She might be tonight.
Well, I mean, really, but does she go back and let them out? Cause mine doesn't.
She
doesn't
might
care about politics.
No, she may have. She asked some questions tonight, so I don't know whether she's.
Well, I hope she is.
Yeah, I hope she is. But she's in. We have conversations daily.
Good deal. And so do my wife and I do too. But she's not. This is my primary thing, and it's not hers. So when she notices something, I get happy because it's like she's not looking for that. That's genuine. That's a genuine reaction. Not something that's, predicated by something I said or whatever. But there's that. I mean, Sean, we can win this, but we got to keep our people. You're absolutely right. It's a psyops operation And you have to understand the definition of media, too. It's not just the news. It's every sitcom, every movie, every book, every magazine, every commercial. We're inundated with it, but we can prevail.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I keep telling my friends and everybody that I talk to, don't turn on the news. Turn it off. Rip your darn freaking cable box out. Chuck it out the window and say, look, you need to get to reality here, ladies and gentlemen. I tell them, look, the way you can really help defeat this stuff is you get involved with your local and state elections. Now, the speaker part, I should have known that part. But now that I do, I'll tell them about that.
Make sure you call them, too. Don't mess around on email. Because one thing that the government has managed to do is they have taken email forms and made sure that you can only talk to the representative in your district. The other representatives, no matter what their positions are in leadership, are off limits.
Yeah, they filter you out.
Yes, they do. So email is not your friend unless you want to talk to your representative.
Right. So I know we can win this. It's going to be hard. And I keep telling everybody, look, freedom is not really free. You have to fight for it.
That's right. You got to be an American.
No, I don't want to do this. So I'm like, well, then you're part of the problem, and you're sounding like either a bot or a rhino or a Democrat in disguise of a Republican. So to hell with you.
Right. No, I agree.
It gets so ridiculous. And it's like, are you really that stupid?
All right, so talk to us about the Governor Newsom situation. Where are we at with that?
1.5 million signatures have been collected, and so far they're still verifying them, of course.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to get 2 million, just in case. Like I said, we want that buffer in there in case if they want to try to screw with
when's the next election?
The next election now, since that's been thrown into the mix now, is 2022.
Yeah, and
looked up.
Go ahead, Sean. Keep going. Keep going.
Okay, just making sure. I made sure to look up the term limit for governor of the state, and it wasn't giving me a clear answer anymore on how long it is. I kept looking and looking. How long is his term limit? He's got four term limits, 2 term limits, 8 term limits. It kept getting so confusing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is nuts. This is really nuts.
I'll bet.
So I just said, you know what? If this gets thrown on the ballot, which I pray it does, okay, great. Now
what doesn't get thrown on the ballot in California?
And after it gets thrown on the ballot, they just take it to the Ninth Circuit Court and they overturn it. Because you guys voted against homosexual marriage, and the court said, oh, no, screw you. We're having that. If you remember that, the proposition, whatever it was.
Yeah, I remember that. And it sucked. And
Proposition Booty Bandit.
God. Well,
I'm
the
going to catch hell in the
right now
afterlife.
is we have rhino Republicans starting to pop out of the woodwork wanting to run for governorship, which would really, really hamper our ability to get someone that we want on the ticket.
Well, that's like Georgia. I mean, Georgia, Purdue's going to run it in the Senate now.
Oh, Jesus.
But
there is hope. There is hope. I heard that Richard Grinnell is considering running for governor.
Oh, goodness, that would fix California, man. And how would they deal with that? How would San Francisco deal with that?
They wouldn't be able to. They'd throw riots.
My goodness. I mean, wow. That would be great.
Again,
other than the fact that I'd like to see him, I want to see him as the Attorney General myself, or the head of the FBI. I mean, he needs to have a gun. That guy.
But that's okay. It'd be great if he did. It would be fantastic because you know what? How are they going to pick on a gay man?
I know they will. They will.
Well, I know they will.
Look what they did to Clarence Thomas when it comes to race, and look what happened to the guy that started the walkaway movement. I can't remember his name, man, but you know that guy.
That guy, yeah.
Right. Look at Milo.
There's also
Milo Yiannopoulos.
There's also talk about splitting the state into a conservative state, and the blue cities get turned into their own little state.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. But anyway, all right, man. Thanks for calling. We got a bunch of callers. I got to get some people on here. If you got something final, okay, good deal. See ya.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, let's go to Nashville, Tennessee. I think this is Kel, but I'm not sure. Nashville, you're up. Who do we got there?
Hi there. This is Tendell. Remember me? Tennessee
Yeah,
Bell?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Can I deflate the energy for just a few moments? I want to talk about Rush.
You can absolutely do that.
When I heard about it today. I was at work, and I'd been gone from work for 3 days because we've had some bad weather down here. Things were shut down. So I had a lot going on when I came in today. And I got a text from my son, who is a school teacher in Texas, former military guy, and he just sent me a text with 2 words, Rush passed. And I was like, oh, of course we all knew it was coming. But it was a gut punch. But I dug in, got my work done, but this has been on my mind all day. And I needed to talk to my Cold War radio folks because you all know what it was like before it came on the scene.
Oh, I know. And again, I was brought up in the 70s with CB radio. I mean, I've been in radio my whole life. And when Rush Limbaugh came around, I mean, for people like me, and even Sal and others that are in this, I can't imagine us doing this without him because there was no market. The only market really was, like really, really late at night for insomniacs. I mean, you could listen to talk radio at night, especially on AM, but when Rush came and he made it institutional, he changed the country, man, and changed the world.
And, you can take a look at this as a somber day, but we can also use it as a celebration of his achievements as well as what he brought to all of our lives. So, yes, of course, it's a somber day, and, of course, we should recognize Rush. But on the other hand, he brought so many things, and you were one of, again, another million, how many ever millions of people that actually got the privilege to listen to him and, likely helped you in some way.
Oh, Sal, you are absolutely right. Talk about helping you in some way. Hutch, going back to what you just said about early talk radio, you and I are about the same age.
Okay.
I also grew up in
our 40s,
Ohio.
in our mid-40s. Yeah, good.
Oh, yes, darling. Of course. But of course, darling, really? Don't let it show.
No.
But anyway,
I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. Our rotary telephone at the house was not allowed to be touched during dinner time. You would get smacked. You were not allowed to answer that sucker.
Absolutely. I was living in Texas, been married just a few years. I'd moved from the eastern Ohio area, so I was down in Texas, and there I was on a 600-acre farm. My husband was the farm manager, and I had a 3-year-old son. All by myself. There was we had one channel.
Yeah.
So talk radio was my salvation.
You're from eastern Ohio, or Youngstown or Mahoning Valley or?
Wheeling.
Wheeling, West Virginia?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's right down the street.
Oh,
right down the street.
Honey, we could pick up KDKA.
I know.
And WTAE.
Before they had casinos here, I used to gamble in Wheeling. I had a platinum parking spot in the garage.
Ooh, I'm jealous.
Those were some crazy days, though. Those days are gone.
Remember the nickels and coins that you had to bring down there?
Yeah, you had to wash your hands.
Yeah, your hands would get dirty. Yeah,
hands were dirtier than when I pumped gas.
Yep.
That's another thing. Tennessee Bell. I pumped gas and checked oil and washed windshields and dealt with some real ignorant people. But
and that gas was 59 cents a gallon.
I'm telling you, when it wasn't 35.
But when I was in this situation in Texas, I would pull in radio stations from Dallas or Shreveport.
Oh yeah,
just
Shreveport.
Because I fell in love with talk radio with WRVA Richmond at night,
okay,
and KMOX.
There you go.
Out of St. Louis. Okay? So I would
fun.
pull in these stations, and then we had a local little country western station that had a little swap shop thing. And one afternoon, this guy popped on. And I listened to him for 2 or 3 days thinking, well, this just can't be. But then the more I listened to him, and he basically said, you know I'm right. This is what your parents raised you on, right?
Right.
I was like, yeah, absolutely right.
Do you remember all the
What's
leftist
interesting-
stuff? You remember the Jim Bohannons and the
Oh my gosh, Michael Jackson, the
Yeah.
guy from South Africa. Yeah.
and the guy,
All
what
those
was
guys
his
wrong.
name? Alan, or who's the guy that didn't he just die?
Oh shoot.
I said his name before. Oh man, I can't remember. Larry King.
But that's
Larry,
all- that's all it
Larry
was.
King. Larry King was on there. I mean,
Larry
him and-
King, yes.
And then they tried that
Yeah.
Voice of America thing, and they had or whatever it was called, America's Voice or whatever, and they had
Oh, I know what yeah.
that senator
yeah,
on there. I mean,
was
it was
awful.
it was horrible. Yeah, it absolutely was.
It was horrible.
But I'm
But
glad
here's this guy-
Rush won. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I mean, he said everything that I knew, that I had been taught deep inside, and now somebody was telling me it's okay to think that way because I was a child of the 70s, and I
too.
had been taught basically, I mean, the women's lib movement, this is going to bother some people, but you know what? I
Feminazis.
remember, oh my God, my girlfriends, my unmarried girlfriends and I, like, would think, here's what we thought of married women our own age. Oh, she's just a little housewife. She doesn't have to think about anything.
Yeah,
We so put down motherhood and marriage.
I know. And you look
It
at
was
where we're at
horrible.
now. You look where we're
Mm-hmm.
at now, especially in the inner city community. And it's not just black. I mean, it's everybody that lives in the inner
Oh,
city
yeah.
community. Marriage is out the window, man. And that's another way, speaking to Sean's question, Rico's question, that we can defeat this. We have to get back to the family. And I got to say one more thing, and then I'm going to get your final comments because I got another caller on the line. We're running out of time. But my son is a professional firefighter, right? And there was a gas leak near my house today, and the fire company came out, the full station from my neighborhood, and my son came over to pick up some things from here. And of course, he knows, the firefighters that were there. And they were talking, and it was something that I was listening to a conversation between the lieutenant that was in charge of the scene and my son, talking about the lieutenant's son, who Sal was also a Pittsburgh firefighter, and who called up my son because he had done a tour at my son's station, and he said, damn, man, I think he called my son. It might have been one of the other guys at the station. But he said, you guys, when I was over there, you guys said grace before you ate. That's the house I want to be in. And I was like, oh, damn, man, that sounded good, man. That was like, because I say grace every meal, even if I'm by myself, and it's just something that I always did because I've never been starvation hungry, but I've been hungry enough where I could see how that might suck. And every meal I get, I just say, damn, I'm blessed, man. We're able to go do this or, whatever. It's just, and I look at all kind of different ways to procure food. I like to fish. I'm not a real big hunter, but I'm starting to get back into that a little bit. I like to grow gardens and pickle and stuff like that and can. But anyway, it was really good to hear that. And I think that I'm feeling optimistic, Tennessee Belle. I hope you are too.
We'll get through this.
I think so, too.
Amen.
Thank you very much for calling. Always appreciate it.
Later, guys. Bye-bye.
Make sure you call back. All right. Let's go to Florida, and let's welcome Valerie to the show from the Boca Raton area, for now, I guess. How's it going, man? What's on your mind?
Well, we have beautiful weather here. I have no complaints about ice or snow or anything like that.
I'm tired of it, man.
And
It's
we have
coming again.
DeSantis. No, it's been 80 degrees every day. I mean, this is the most perfect time of the year. you know.
Rub it
then
in. Keep,
summer,
you know, keep.
I gotta get out of this place.
Sorry, I know.
Rub it in. Keep on going. Keep rubbing it in. Yep.
I
Yeah.
have so many friends in New York, and every summer they ask me how I sit here in the middle of hurricanes about to smack us in the head, and it's 100 degrees.
Did you tell them? Did you tell them to go down? Tell them to go down in the basement and feed the rats.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Or go outside to the
Listen,
panhandlers and get a pencil.
Listen, this is our time. You know, this is the time of year we sit back and say, "Oh my God, this is the weather everybody prays for all year long, and that's why everybody moves here." But then they move out in the summer because it's too difficult. You know, everything drops dead here in 100 degrees, and then the hurricanes hit us. So, you know, there's no perfect place on the planet, and that's where I'm going with this. But
before you go there, just because I'm looking at the clock.
Okay.
Can we talk about this book?
Yeah, we can.
All right. Let me. The title: Mad Dog Prosecutors and Other Hazards of American Business, and an excerpt. Every American who cares about justice should read this book, and that's a quote from Alan Dershowitz, and this is by Michael Zinn. Talk about the situation, and is the book for sale? I can't wait to read this, by the way.
Okay, well, the book is in every law library all over the United States, but it is no longer for sale because my husband, unfortunately, was killed in a plane crash. Absolutely the after effect of having a frickin' nervous breakdown, suffering from what the Democrats did to him. And, you know, those were the years that I changed my party right away. I realized how money hungry the Democrat Party was and how evil they were. And I was just a mini portion of actually what's happening in a bigger picture right now. And so I always relate to what has happened to my life and how it destroyed our family and how it destroyed all of our friends. And we had 500 people working in our many companies. And because of the fact that we were a publicly held company, the shareholders got together with the Democrats and decided to use my late husband's expertise, his financial expertise. They got him to run the financial campaign for a Democrat running for government in our county in upstate New York. And they used him and abused him.
He was in energy, right? There was, what did I say?
Solar energy. We had a big solar energy company. We had a manufacturing.
They wanted to buy him out.
And there's some patents that you had as well, correct? Yep.
They wanted to liquidate the company so they could make more money, and they used him for his financial expertise. Now, we were young at the time. We really, but I had some smarts from growing up in New York. I was and you'll see this at the beginning of the book, Hutch. I was the first one to step forward and say, "Don't do this."
Right.
And my husband said, "You're throwing a wet blanket on me." I said, "I'm not."
I say that to my wife all the time.
My parents taught me, right, don't trust politicians. They're evil. They have evil intent. I knew that. I grew up with that. Of course, we were Democrats. That's why I always relate to listening to you guys, because it's a positive feeling to know that I didn't shift gears for no reason. But my husband flew Teddy Kennedy from Kingston, New York, in his own private little four-seater airplane back to Washington, D.C. He was so excited. He got to do this for him. It turned out to be an illegal contribution to the campaign.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Just to get the just to get the energy.
Honestly, this was the most evil thing I had ever seen in my young years.
Right.
And it really turned me and moved me. And you'll see, you'll eventually read the book in your own time. It's no hurry. You will be inside of my husband's head. And I will tell you that he wrote 3/4 of this book from prison. Those bastards.
Yeah, he did
took
6
this-
months in federal prison, right?
He did. He did 6 months for nothing, for absolutely nothing. And it so destroyed our companies, our families, our friends, everything that we had.
And his life, at the end.
Well, he had a nervous breakdown, and I lived through it, and it's so heartbreaking to see what goes on behind the scenes in a political environment and business. This is really a combination of the two, which is, I think, very much what we're living through today. We're seeing politicians using big business to pay for and support their campaigns.
And there's a word for
our
that.
government.
There's a word for that, and it gets bannered around from time to time. It's called oligarchy.
And what they're also doing is trying to control who are the winners and who are the losers.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And Sal read half the book already.
I read like the first 30 pages.
Over there, but
then you know part of my life history. Everybody always told me I should write a book about this, and I never did because it went so silent into me. It just dug a hole and sat in my being that
let me ask you this. We're running out of time, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
I want to read the book. Sal's going to apparently read the book. Let us do that. Would you like to come on the show and talk about it for a segment for a half hour or so? Or longer, whatever?
I would.
Okay, let's do
I
that.
would. I would.
I was
going to
ask you that last night, but I didn't think it was appropriate, on another guy's show. So I waited till
Roderick also doesn't have a call-in on the show that I do with him on Tuesday nights. There's nobody calling. So I would love to really talk about this because it was very deep. It was very intense. It was a hit on a young, innocent business family.
Well, before you leave, I want you, because your family is kind of similar to mine. My children are, that sounded racist kind of because of what I'm going to say next. But my children are biracial, and I know you have some of that in your family. I want you to listen to this.
I certainly do.
From the President Asterix of the United States, and whether or not you think this is racist, because I certainly do.
In racial disparities. And I'm going to say something's going to get me in trouble, which I couldn't go through a whole show without doing that. And that is that, think about it. If you want to know where the American public is, look at the money being spent on advertising. Did you ever 5 years ago think every second or third ad out of 5 or 6 you'd turn on would be biracial couples? No, I'm not being facetious. The reason I'm so hopeful is this new generation. They're not like us. They're thinking differently.
They're not like you.
They're more open. And we got to take advantage of it.
I want you to...
I'm sorry.
I want you to meet Roberta Martin.
Now, let me explain what I heard there, Valerie, and then I'll get your comments, your opinion.
Okay.
To me, it's like, 3 out of 5 commercials have biracial couples. Well, biracial couples are not even near that type of percentage. This is people trying to sway how other people think. And when you couple that with what some of Rico talked about and some other things, it's clearly a divisive situation. It's not a reflection of America. And I have no problem with that. But right away, the Democrat comes out and says, did you see that? Did you see Madison Avenue put 3 out of 5 as biracial couples when 1 out of 75 people are really, whatever the case may be. It's not 3 out of 5. And I get offended by stuff like that. I do. And not by the biracial part, but by the insinuation that I am stupid enough to believe that that's a majority in this nation. And it's not. nor should it be. Or it doesn't really matter. But your thoughts on all that?
They make it seem like this is totally normal and this is totally okay, and there are no ramifications from doing this. This
that part,
is not true.
Yeah, but that part is not really something that bothers me. I think it's okay if everybody's loving everybody else. Now, if you're making babies,
Okay.
and you're a guy
You-
and you're a freaking coward and you run away, then screw you. But if you're actually married and raised, come to my neighborhood, live right next to me. If you're married, don't do it if you're not married. I don't want nothing to do with you if you're single and you're doing this. But if you're married and you love each other, come on down. It's my opinion. It's my opinion.
You know, Hutch, I just have to tell you that I have had a very difficult time because the other side of the family has a difficult time.
Yeah.
This is not as easy as people may think. You're putting together a white family and a black family. Forget about religion.
Or a white family and a Puerto Rican family in my case.
Okay, but so if the two families love each other and get along, it's easy. It's fine. You make the adjustments. You do what you have to do. But it's not always that easy.
No, and I'll give you an example. I'll give you a quick example. My wedding, what do they call it? The reception. My wedding reception in central Pennsylvania. I hired a DJ from a local bar, and everybody's there, right? And obviously, you got a little polarization. You know, you got the Puerto Ricans over on this side, and the white dudes and the country dudes over on this side. And there was some songs that were requested and played, and we had a great time. And then the DJ said, and now we're going to listen to something that everybody can understand. And started playing some music. I forget what it was, but every Puerto Rican in that goddamn bar got pissed off. And it's my wedding.
Yep.
I'm like, man, seriously, you said that. You know, so you're right. There are awkward moments. There are.
There's more than awkward moments. There's sometimes total separation, and it becomes more and more difficult, especially when they're crazy liberals and the black part of the family works with George Soros.
Oh, that's
you know who I am. Can you just imagine trying to? I can't even. I never ever see my daughter with her husband. Never.
Really?
Because I can't even be in the same room.
Oh, that's
we would
sad.
kill each other.
That's
yeah.
really sad.
So
I'm sorry to hear that.
it is really bad. So you know there are other factions to intermarriage, and it's not about that anybody's a racist. It's not about that we go into this thinking anything negative. It's that there are sometimes issues that come up that you would never expect, and it's really difficult. And then you have your grandchildren saying, my daddy told me Trump is stupid. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I know.
What are you going to say? That's what their daddy told them.
I know.
I'm just, yeah.
No,
yeah.
I
But
got
yeah,
you.
whenever, other than a Tuesday night, whenever you would like me to come on and just talk about this, after you guys have read the book on a Wednesday, I would love to do it.
Absolutely. I already read half the book while you were talking.
I'm going to let Sal take it, and he's going to bring it back, and we'll. That sounds fun.
Okay.
It does sound good. All right, Valerie, thank you very
Wonderful.
much. Always appreciate you
Thank
calling.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us pretty close to the end of our adventure this evening, I guess. Sal, a good show, good interaction with the audience. Great back and forth between you and I, my man.
Yeah, we got it going on tonight.
You know?
Hey, well, I think what
I got my scrambled egg maker over there.
Yeah, I told you I was bringing a gift, and I
did.
followed through. But guess what? I think
What's
Hutch
up?
is going to ask for my final thoughts and where you can catch me at.
Sal, I'm not going to do that, but where can we catch you at, and what are your final thoughts? Let's go in that order.
How about where you can
Boom!
catch me? Yeah, hey. Where can you catch me at? Right here. Well, maybe not right
Catch
here.
me outside.
Maybe not right here, but you can catch me at Cold War Radio on next Wednesday evening.
All right. Well, I like it. What do you think about the studio, man?
Studios.
You like doing it in the studio?
I love the studio a lot better. I think it provides a little bit of interaction.
I do too. I
yeah,
like it
you know,
myself.
and hey, you know, if you want me to bring my mask, I will. Okay.
Well, this is a no mask zone.
All right.
This is a don't ask permission zone. This is fuck you government zone, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. I'm done. I'm done.
I got you.
I'm not asking permission. Axing. I'm not axing permission anymore. It's just
yes, sir.
The way it works. This studio is armed and dangerous too, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. It's don't break into this studio and expect to live. But anyway, please go to rspn.bandcamp.com. Support Jacob Seals. He's getting ready to take over to Mike. I'm Hutch Bailey Jr. I want to thank everybody for letting us into your life for a couple of hours. We'll be back on Friday with Jack. He's probably asleep now. He has to get up and he has to get the oysters at like 0:30. So I'm glad he even gets a chance to listen to the show, which he does. But anyway, we will be back Friday. Thanks for stopping by, and God bless.
Thank you. Let us pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.